UAE is the very first country which has a ministry of AI. I think the US is going very good when we're talking about AI researchers, AI labs. But in applications, I can see the Chinese are putting the Americans step by step behind them.
Hello, friends. Welcome to my show. It is my great pleasure to welcome Dr. Nader Ghazal, a distinguished professor and thought leader in artificial intelligence at Khalifa University. With deep expertise in artificial intelligence research, global innovation trends, and their real world applications, Dr. Ghazal has been at the forefront of shaping how AI is transforming education, research, and industry. His insights on the evolving world map of artificial intelligence and its responsible integration into society continue to inspire researchers, students, and professionals alike. We are honored to have him with us today and look forward to learning from his knowledge and vision on artificial intelligence at world level. Dr. Nader Ghazal, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dilshad. In fact, it's an honor and it's a pleasure to be on such a great show, and I'm hopeful that we will be as fruitful and possible the our discussion.
Well, thank you. To start the podcast, can you please tell me about your journey as AI leader?
Well, I was an AI student. Then I cannot claim that I'm an AI leader. People say that, but anyways, in fact, I went to the States. I'm Lebanese, of course, background with Canadian passport, typical Lebanese person. In fact, I went to the States. I was 17 years old. I went to New York to pursue my studies. So I had my bachelor and my master's in engineering. My bachelor, I had it from the State University of New York in 2 years and 10 months. And I was on the dean's list at that time. Our university, the SUNY at Buffalo, was the eighth in the States. And then I finished my master's in 10 months in structural engineering. So it is that deep and into material science, since I know that your background is as well into material. So, and I still remember that the thesis of my master was the effect of marine environment on the behavior of concrete. Look how far I am from where I am now. And this is, the world is full of diversity. And I always say, the more versatility you have, the more powerful you become in your knowledge. But then in my PhD, and that's where the turning point. Well, in fact, I went into MIS. So I studied master, PhD in management information systems, and I do remember when I started my PhD in Canada in 1986. I went to my advisor when I wanted to start my thesis, my research. So I told him, I want you to give me something that nobody else has done before me. I know my skills. I mean, I was an A student. I had when I finished my bachelor and my master's, I was 21 years old, and so I knew that I had that capacity to work and to do research. So he said, "Go ahead and read about this." In fact, he gave me those yellow books talking about robotics. So I went and I spent almost 6 months working, doing the literature review in robotics. But then I thought, oh my goodness, at the end of my PhD, would I be carrying, a small robot in my hand and say, this is my PhD? So it did not click well. During my research in those 6 months, I realized that there is something called the brain of the robot, which was at that time an expert system. And, we worked a great deal with knowledge-based expert systems at that time. So we had to build our AI expert system from zilch. And it was so primitive compared to what we have now. But this means how much difficulty we faced during our, the early stages. So anyways, I started my PhD in 1989. I received the National Research Distinction Award from Canada due to this research. From which, of course, I published, and based on my publications, my guys in the States, they read the publication, and they said, we want you to come back and finish your PhD from the States. So that's what I did. In 1991, I finished my PhD in AI expert systems development. And I think we were just only two in the North American continent.
Mhm.
Myself, I started in Canada, and a friend of mine was a Korean who started in Carnegie Mellon, also in New York. So that was the start of it. Then 1992, because I always had in mind to come back to the Arab countries. 1992, I moved back to the Arab countries. And let me stop here and have your question. So this is my background. This is the academic background, I would say.
Oh, thank you, thank you. Like you have completed your PhD in around 1990s. So how do you see
91,
this?
yes.
Yeah, 1991. So how do you see this artificial intelligence reshaping the world from that day to till date?
Oh my God, this is astonishing. Thank you for this question. In continuation to what I said, and thank you for this, because you're intriguing me to get those old days concerns. I remember, I was married at that time. So I remember I used to tell my wife, I would say, Susan, that's her name. Susan, do you think that someday I will see some people using my PhD, my research? But then, in fact, he started 1993, 92, and 93 in the Arab countries, and in fact, we were using what is so-called now narrow AI or specialized AI. So in
Mhm.
my business consulting, I was using, you're a technical person, so you know what I'm talking about. We used to use the Zachman framework for enterprise architecture using AI. So,
Mhm.
but indeed, I'm the guy with the days of Common Lisp, Prolog, Autolisp, those old-fashioned symbolic processing. I'm so happy that Lisp is still surviving.
Mhm.
But I mean, when we started reading and learning about C and C++ and Java, and oh my goodness, I mean, we were missing a lot. Now, with the generative AI, oh yes, that's a completely different ball game.
Mhm.
But indeed, you have to have the background to understand what is AI, and that's why still of course, I learn that. In fact, until today, I put 10 to 15 hours per day reading and working. And I think it's a blessing that you have if you work your passion. I work my
Mhm.
passion, so I don't work. I'm at a stage I don't work. I enjoy what I'm doing, so it's my passion. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Which regions or countries are leading in artificial intelligence research, development, and deployment these days?
Yeah, well, in fact, it depends on, the AI era has become something that everybody is getting into. So there
Hmm.
is no one country leading in everything. But indeed, we still have the US, they have the banner of the lead. Definitely now it's being fought between the Americans and the Chinese, but we cannot forget that even the Europeans, they are working on the AI. But having said this, I think the US is going very good when we're talking about AI researchers, AI labs. But in applications, I can see the Chinese are putting the Americans step by step behind
Hmm.
them. I mean, look at the. I'm sure you're aware of the fact that 60% of the electrical cars in the world now, they're not by Tesla, they are by the Chinese. Not many people know this, but indeed, besides the Chinese applications, which they do from time to time, they surprise us with their innovations. Also, we have the Europeans. The Europeans, I think, they are working real hard on the ethical part, on the governance part. But again, they are working slow. We have now the third party who is coming into the play and into the picture very quickly and very fast. And I'm so happy for them. The GCC countries and mainly the UAE, and of course, coming forward is also the Saudis. So we have, I think, these are the three major pillars, I would say, who are, making history of AI currently. The Americans, the Chinese, and of course the GCC countries, and mainly the UAE and Saudi Arabia.
Mhm. Thank you. So, in the recent days, what are the most impactful applications of artificial intelligence in society we can see?
Well, Dr. Dilshad, in fact, I always say, I do a lot of trainings. And I always say to my trainees, besides being, a university professor, as you know, in my training, I tell everybody, listen, wherever you have the a human brain, you have an AI. It's that simple because AI is mimicking the human brain. So all of the societal aspects, be it from the emotional intelligence. Now, our AIs, many people do not understand this. Our AI, it can read your emotions, it can read your behavior, it can read your sentiments, and it can act accordingly. I know it does not feel, but it is part of its algorithm to understand your feelings, to understand your facial gesture, to understand your behavior. So from this point, going to poetry, AI can become one of the best poets that you can hear, and then it goes to the extreme defense when there is, unfortunately, there is the killing, there is the high level of intelligence, that high level of accuracy in getting the targets to that. So from this extreme to the other extreme, AI is there, and it's proving its presence. But indeed, when we talk about things that we love, of course, the health sector, I'm so happy we're doing very good jobs in applications in health sector as well as in education. Now the people in the finance, they are also, we are having some good breakthroughs. But indeed, on the top of the list is health, education, and defense.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of progress you can see in humanizing artificial intelligence, especially in UAE? How far we have reached up to this?
The UAE, I always say, I am blessed, in fact, to be in the UAE, and I'm so happy to be part of the AI move in the UAE. I'm so happy to be, nominated the AI leader of the year in the UAE 2025. The UAE is always on the move and is always on the head start, So I give you some examples on how to humanize, how humanizing the UAE is doing to the AI industry. Well, let's start with the very primitive information by now that we all know. The UAE is the very first country which has a ministry of AI. But having said this, it's not about the title of having a ministry, but in fact, it is what is embedded in that ministry of hard work, of working on the infrastructure, working on the learning, the upskilling of the people. I go straight to some of the resolutions that they had, and these resolutions, they have a great effect on having AI as part of the day-to-day activities of the people in the UAE. First of all, the UAE is the very first country in the world which has that smart legislative system that is done by AI. So what it does, this system, I train on public policies, and being a mayor and being also the advisor to prime minister, I learned a lot how to mix and how to merge and how to make the benefits out of the educational hat with professional business consulting, but also from the public service background, that always caring about serving the people and protecting their rights, their privacies, the equity, and so on. So having said this, the UAE, with this resolution that they passed already, I think it was about in April, last April. Now we have a system that looks at all the AI legislations and the impact that it has on all different ministries and agencies, and it looks at it from the human perspective. How does it affect the people in the country? How does it help them in their living? And as well as they have this AI advisor, which is also another resolution, that was passed in the first quarter of the year, in which they have every government agency, they must have an AI agent sitting next to the board of directors, or maybe a part of the board of directors. Moreover, and this is, I'm going to stop with this. As you know, the UAE comes after the Chinese, which was done in March, and the Americans, which they had the resolution in April. A few days afterwards, we heard that there is a resolution of putting AI in education from KG to 12 in the UAE. So they are putting teeth to this talk and they are putting feet to that walk. So the UAE is working real hard on this aspect. I'll talk. I think I'm sure you're going to ask me about the governance and ethical issues. So I'll leave my discussion for that till later.
Okay. You talked about that AI advisor is going to be implemented in each and every sector soon in UAE.
That is true.
Yeah, that is coming very fast. So what more you are seeing in the education sectors, and how we can adapt ourselves to this changing pace as far as artificial intelligence is concerned? We need to train ourselves
Music.
in AI. Huh?
Yeah, music to my ears. I've been an educator since now 3 decades and few years. So, and in fact, when we talk about education, I always remember the words of the governor of Singapore when it was dismantled from Malaysia. When he was crying, and I do remember we had this in my keynote speech. I was so honored to have you in my keynote speech in last week, and I mentioned that example.
Yes, yes.
And I said to the people, to the respected audience at that time, all what you need is education. So he was crying, and he said the very first thing that I'm going to be doing is work on educating people. This is Singapore, that was on now 75 years back. Look at Singapore now; it's a role model. That country is a role model in almost everything. When you're talking about the quality of life, the education, the green energy, the infrastructure for smart cities, and what have you, and for green areas and such. So, in education, I think AI has a major role to play, and I think it is playing that major role. Of course, with AI in education, I always recommend to all instructors and mentors and teachers and tutors, please don't forbid your students from using the AI, but always tell them use it, but don't abuse it. In other words, let them go. And that's what I do to my students. In fact, I tell them, okay, I want you to use AI, but in a wise way. Use it as an augmentation. And allow me here to say a few words about the augmentation. I'm sure by now my attitude towards the word artificial intelligence, which I think this is wrong. It is not an artificial, and it's not an intelligence. It is an augmentation for our intelligence. And for those who are technical, I go even deeper and say it's not intelligence, it is inferencing. It is augmented inferencing, which supports our intelligence. So I would go for keeping the AI as it is and as an acronym, but I would say, okay, instead of calling it artificial intelligence, which is a bit, in fact, it is offensive to us as humans that we have now a tool that is artificially intelligent and it's better than us. We wouldn't like to hear this, but in fact, what it is doing, it is augmenting our intelligence. So it's augmented inferencing or augmented intelligence. Having said this, let me go to your question to the education. I think in education, it opens the door very wide, and I've been, doing many lectures in conferences about the importance of AI, not only in cybersecurity, not only in the business sector, but also in educating our kids. And with AI, here comes the critical thinking. In AI, we have more of creative thinking. Now we have more of innovative thinking, and moreover, in fact, all of those new approaches, they were existing at my age. Now you're young enough to have both, but for my age, our brain was used to just memorizing, capturing information and using like a black box, just throw it in your brain. But now our kids, and this is due to the technology, and now AI is playing a major role. Our kids are more critical, they have more critical thinking, they have more creativity, and they are more innovative. And this innovation and this creativity with AI, it's not expensive, it's cheap. I don't like to use the word cheap, but it is inexpensive, in fact. So we can ask our kids to try again and again and again. It costs nothing. And what I'm talking about mainly here, focusing on the Gen AI with that multimodal, approach that you can read, hear the voice, you can see the video, you can see visuals, and all of that can be done with the press of a button. So you can ask your students, no, I don't like this, go back and do it again. They will go back and do it again, and they will learn. Another thing, I always say it in my speeches, there is no excuse for no one. No one who can read. Well, those who cannot read, they can listen.
Yes.
Those who cannot listen, they can see Gen AI, generative AI. So it opens the door to everyone to learn. So we have no one can say, I don't know, and I'm not able to learn. And it breaks down the walls between different industries. There is no one single industry now that cannot be used, cannot use or AI cannot get into it. It breaks down the walls. It opens up the space for digital learning. For you can now we are talking to each other. You don't need to know where I am exactly. Of course, now I'm in Abu Dhabi, but we can have this meeting. I'm maybe in the Antarctic, down south, and you are on the Arctic level up there, and we're speaking to each other. We are okay. We have no problem. So, having said this, I think AI plays a major role for education, but we need to know how to handle it. Use it, but don't abuse it.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nader. You told that this artificial intelligence is here not to replace us, but to
Yes, of course.
augment us,
our power.
augment us.
Unless if we make a decision that we want it to replace it, then it's our fault. And
Yeah.
I always say this. I think this is very important to understand. Look at AI as if it's your baby. That's how I look at AI. Please, AI is a baby. With the machine learning, with the deep machine learning, with the reinforced learning, all of these, we do that with our kids. When your kid wakes up in the morning and she is just, or he is just 5 months old, and you tell your wife tells you, oh, look, she said dad, or she said papa, you will go crazy about that for the whole day and maybe for the whole week. Why is it so? Because that machine learning has started already. So it depends on what you teach this kid. This kid will be a grown up based on what you teach him. That's for machine learning for 5 years, 7 years, and then he starts reasoning. This is exactly how our AI starts. So with the reasoning, with the neural networks that we have in our brains, we mimic those neural networks in our brains into our systems. So it can reason, it can open up new networks, it can open up new ideas, it can come up with new notions. So this is deep machine learning. The important part is to understand, and let me continue on the same metaphor. And when you tell your kids, no, don't do this, in fact, this is reinforced learning, and that's what we do to our system. If we get an ad that we don't like, what do we do for it? We do an X, a drop, or a delete. Then this thing, that machine asks us, why did you drop it? Is it irrelevant? Is it abuse? Is it repetitive? Yeah, so it's asking you to teach that machine to learn from now on that this is useful and it's not useful. So in fact, I remember, sorry for taking that long with this, but this is so close to my passion. I remember I was interviewed on one of those networks, and they told me about the how we can protect children. So I told them, okay, listen. And in fact, I used the same metaphor in the the thought leaders in London. I was a keynote speaker in 2024. I told them, behave yourself. With AI, there is no need for the remote control, the parental guidance. It's you behave yourself, the network will understand you like this, you don't like that, and that's how your kids will learn. So whenever you have an ad and you cross it with that cross that you don't like, you're telling the network don't do this again, which means you are telling your agent, and all of us we have our agents. As soon as we get into the internet, we have an agent ready for us to support us. You are telling your agent, I like this, so give me a lot of this. I don't like that, so don't give me a lot of this. So if you want
Mm.
to protect your kids, don't go to bad sites. Don't go
Mhm.
to something that may harm them, because what the message here, you're telling this agent of yours, that your private agent, go ahead and give me more and give me more. When you cross it out, it tells it, behave yourself, don't do this again. No, no,
Mhm.
no need for parental guidance. It is your self guidance which will help you, have grown up, a good grown up kids.
Mm. Okay, thank you, doctor. You rightly said that this artificial intelligence is not going to replace us. But the thing is that many people actually are very fearful that this the
Yeah.
artificial intelligence which is coming nowadays, that is going to replace a lot of people from the job,
Typical
and it will
classical
create
question.
unemployment. Yeah, this is a classical question.
Typical
And with the
classical.
super here, like intelligence and other
Fine,
things which is coming
fine.
soon, there will be
Yeah,
a
yeah.
lot of unemployment
Well,
generation.
let me
So what
postpone the
challenges or
issue.
risk
Yeah, okay.
come
Definitely.
with the rapid growth of AI?
Yes, sure.
What do you
Well,
say,
let me
please?
postpone the issue
Yeah.
of the super intelligence and
Mm.
the critical matters and my fears about AI. I'm going to answer that
Okay.
later on. But as for the jobs, in 2020, the World Economic Forum, they had a report talking about the digital technologies, and I'm now quoting. They say in their report that the new digital technologies, inclusive AI, blockchain, and they mentioned several technologies. These are these technologies. They may rise some economies and make some economies fall down.
Okay. But
And then that was 2020.
mm,
In 2023, World Economic Forum, they said there are 85 or 86 million jobs will be lost due to AI. So, in 5 days later, our colleagues at MIT, because I already worked with people at MIT, our colleagues at MIT, they replied with the research results that despite of the fact that 85 or 86% million, sorry, of jobs they will go away, but there will be new jobs, 114 million jobs instead. So, all technologies, when they get into our world,
mhm,
they remove something, but they add something else.
I
I
see.
mean, look at those wooden wheeled chariots. Where are they now? But this is how the whole thing started. Humans, when they started riding camels or riding horses or donkeys or mules, whatever, then they found out that we can have this wooden wheeled chariots. Okay, where are they now? But we are still living. Where is the fax now? Where is our postman now? So this technology, always technologies come with new jobs, and of course it will eliminate or maybe diminish some other jobs. So we don't need to be worried about that, but we need to take jump over the wagon. You cannot sit aside and say, okay, it's replacing me. Yes, I say it is true that anyone with AI skills will replace you if you don't have those skills. So it's
Okay.
your decision.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, the main question is that how should these countries balance artificial intelligence innovation with ethical and responsible use?
Music, wonderful. This is very important.
Mm.
In fact, I'm a bit worried now. If you ask ChatGPT about Nader Ghazal, it will give you two famous Nader Ghazals.
Mm.
One of them is a medical doctor that I don't know. Maybe someday I'm gonna go and introduce myself to him. He lives in New Jersey,
Okay.
and then it tells you there is another guy called Nader Ghazal who works in AI. So if you say yes, this is the person, it will tell you. Other than it gives you all of the list of what I have, but it tells you this guy is a preacher of ethical, responsible and useful AI. I'm so proud
Mm.
that ChatGPT was fair with me, and this is not because it's biased to me, but in fact it's reading the lectures that I give on the websites, the lectures that I give in the TV interviews and stuff like that, I always carry the banner ethical, responsible, useful AI. At the end of the day, Doctor, we are there to serve the humanity. We're not there to neither to take their privacy nor to treat them unfairly. So, having said this, yes, we have an issue. The UAE, as I told you earlier, is considered with the EU and with the OECD. They're doing good job on regulations and guiding principles. But again, this is not enough. And I always say that we are doing good, but in fact, the private sector is way ahead of us.
Yes,
So what
yes.
we need to do is to haste our steps to make larger strands, because we know we must do something really quickly. And I love what Mr. Antonio Guterres, who is the Secretary General of the UN,
Mm-hmm.
in 2023, in fact, July 2023, he asked for a Security Council meeting.
Mm-hmm.
The Security Council meeting for those 15 countries. This means this is much more important than the new and the General Assembly. So that means there is something urgent. And in fact, the title for that meeting was "Would AI cause threat to humanity?" That was 2023 July, and that was, I still remember, it was a Tuesday, so I was requested by Sky News, and he had that wonderful declaration about that. So I was asked to have this declaration and to comment on it on Thursday. So it was 2 days. So to make the story short, he said, and I'm quoting him now, "We need to have an international agency for AI use, similar to," end of quote, of course, "similar to what we have for an international agency for the nuclear use,
Yes.
similar to having international agencies to drugs." I always say drugs are so important for us in the hospitals. You cannot go be hospitalized or have any operation without having, some seduction or some maybe anesthesia. You need drugs. But if you go to the society, it's so bad it can kill society, it can destroy societies. The same thing applies for the nuclear power, and indeed, it's much more important and it's much more dangerous to have AI agency. We need that as soon as possible. We have also the issue of digital divide. The poor guys who are not having internet, they will be separated from the new tech, from the new kind of living. We're talking now about smart cities and talking about the UAE. As we're promised, we are getting into having the place of Singapore by the early 2026 being number one city in the smart city in the world, Dubai. That's the target. So, having said this, the UAE is doing great job on the UAE on the level of ethics, but indeed we need much more effort, more feet to work to walk on, not just guiding principles. We need something more crucially important, and directives, do's and don'ts.
Thank you, Professor. My last question to you is that what advice would you give to young researchers and professionals who want to contribute to this global artificial intelligence transformation?
Well, first of all, to young researchers, I would say don't get scared of AI. Use it, but don't abuse it. That's first. Second, it's your role for those researchers, your role to take on the banner of focusing on governance, focusing on creating the regulatory laws. Okay, and working on behavioral AI that can mimic the humans but not abuse or not hurt humans. Of course, the future is so bright if we use it in a very wise manner. Otherwise, I mean, if we leave those bad guys doing bad algorithms, and again, the AI, it's just an algorithmic approach, then we don't blame the AI, but you need to blame those who are doing those wrong algorithms. I strongly recommend, similar to what we have, like the Federal Drug Association in the US, to have an association that covers the ethics and the responsibility of AI. The future is bright, but they need to work on it and take on the banner of having a rosy life for everyone. AI is part of human history. Don't make it the end days of human history.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Nader. And it was
It's
a
a pleasure.
pleasure. It was a pleasure speaking with you, Dr. Nader Ghazal, about how artificial intelligence is transforming our world. And your insights on innovation and responsible AI were truly inspiring. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you,
for
Dr.
joining us.
Dilshad.
And thanks to all our listeners. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to AI Research Road for more powerful conversation on
Thank you so
AI
much.
and the
And
future
allow me to
ahead.
thank you for your direct and intriguing questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank